For many, being a park ranger is the perfect job. A park ranger is responsible for the protection and conservation of woodlands, forests and conservatories, and helping visitors navigate their way around national parks. Some of the most interesting stories from these regions are those that are difficult to explain. Hundreds of stories can be found online that detail large humanoid creatures within America's national parks, but one of the problems is that it's hard to back up these stories with physical evidence. Photographs that are taken are usually blurry, due to the fact that these creatures are spotted from a distance. Modern smartphone cameras are great at capturing things close up. However, the minute someone zooms in on something, the photo quality diminishes. It's for this reason that many decide not to come forward with their encounters, in fear of being judged due to lack of evidence. Although scientists and researchers will say that we don't have enough evidence to prove that a large humanoid is roaming around America, every year hundreds of people still come forward with their encounters, leading many amateur researchers to believe that there might be some truth in these claims. One interesting story was recently shared by a retired park ranger, who detailed that while working around Washington and Mount St. Helens, he began to hear about strange stories after the eruption. It's important to note that this area is known for strange happenings, with one of the most well-known ones being that of the Ape Canyon encounter. A narrow gorge on the east flank of Mount St. Helens would become known as one of the strangest encounters with large humanoids, where in the summer of 1924, a group of gold prospectors would detail encountering 7-foot-tall hairy humanoids, saying that they started attacking them with boulders. The retired park ranger detailed that while working in the area after the eruption, he heard stories that the military were present in the area, and that they were searching for something. The park ranger said that after talking with some people and even the military themselves, they weren't able to gather much information, except from a few whispers that said that large creatures had been found in the area, charred from the eruption that had occurred from Mount St. Helens. Wondering if the military was trying to save local wildlife that got caught in the wreckage, the ranger then approached one of the military men and said that they could be of service, detailing that he knew a spot where they would congregate. When saying they, the ranger meant species of wildlife. However, it seemed that the military took this as meaning something else, as the ranger detailed that they pulled him aside for questioning, asking for him to take them to the spot where the creatures were spotted. Once they arrived, however, it quickly became evident that they weren't talking about the same thing, as the military questioned the ranger further, asking him if he'd seen any of the humanoids and knew of their whereabouts. This led to a back and forth with the ranger and the military, with them eventually realizing that he couldn't assist them, and so told him to go along his way, and to not talk to anyone about this. The ranger ended by saying that years later he still hasn't had closure on why the small military team was scanning the area, and what they meant by humanoids. Interestingly, this isn't the only story. Shortly after the devastating eruption of Mount St. Helens, located in the northern state of Washington, a team of researchers surveyed the area to better understand the explosive devastation. After death tolls had been tallied up, and the calculations were done, researchers found that more than 540 million tons of ash and debris had been ejected, leading to massive gaping slopes and areas of complete removal from the force of the powerful explosion. Interestingly, rumours would begin to spread surrounding the region, that many claim were due to the powerful eruption that had taken place back in 1980. In the following years thereafter, many began to report seeing a large flying creature in the region. The creature was described as standing more than 9 feet tall, and had the ability to affect and shut off car engines. Additionally, descriptions of the creature detailed that though it had bat-like wings, its feet were more bird-like. If that didn't add enough confusion as to the potential species, its face was described as being wolf-like. It was completely covered in dark fur, had large yellow eyes, massive sharp teeth, and an extended wingspan more than 50 feet in length. Those sightings of the creature can be traced as far back as the year following the Mount St. Helens eruption. The most popular report of the creature would not occur until 2009. In April of 2009, a man by the name of Brian Canfield claimed that as he was driving through the region, his truck had suddenly shut down. Before Canfield could even assess the situation, the creature landed on the hood of his truck and stared into his eyes before flying away. It was not until after the creature flew away that the truck roared back into life. Though the sighting was not filled with excitement, given Canfield's reputation of being an overall trustworthy individual, his story began to spread throughout the region, with others confirming that they'd also seen the creature, but were too fearful of talking about it. NASA has long been at the forefront of space exploration, helping us to uncover some of the universe's biggest kept secrets. Through years of compiled data, NASA along with other space agencies have helped launch us into a new age, an age where everyday people can study and explore the cosmos. We are constantly starting new missions in order to help humanity better understand the space around us. Interestingly, some scientists and researchers have said things that have led people to question whether we're truly alone. Since 2013, Dr. Milton Wainwright has been making some strange discoveries, 25 miles or 40 kilometers above the Earth. He's gone into detail about how his experiments are showing that something incredible is happening right now above the Earth, but frustratingly, he's having a hard time getting this information out there. Dr. Milton Wainwright revealed that he sent a balloon 84,000 feet into the atmosphere to collect dust and other particles. When he was reviewing the data once the balloon made its way back to Earth, however, he discovered inside the samples tiny metal balls that were made of titanium and vanadium, further saying that the structures were around the size of a human hair. Inside was a gooey biological substance. Once he reviewed these organisms underneath the microscope, he said that he could see the metal globes, and noted that these could have been designed by an intelligent species that was trying to seed life on Earth. Dr. Milton Wainwright went on to detail that the mysterious metallic ball seemed to be covered in a fungus, saying that it was knitted like a mat, and made a small impact crater where it hit the sampler, something that led him to believe that these structures were travelling at high speed. Understandably, the doctor was excited by this discovery, and so decided to carry out further tests. He discovered that the organisms test positive for DNA, and noted that these structures are 6 times bigger than the size limit of a particle which can be elevated from Earth to this height. He said the following: "We sent balloons and a sampler and found no pollen or grass, nothing up there to contaminate. It was completely pristine. For these reasons we think the organisms are coming from space. All the time you walk outside, you're being pelted with organisms that come from space." Dr. Wainwright's research has been heavily debated by other scientists, saying that this isn't enough data to go by. The doctor responded with the following: "The critics say the samples we obtained must have come from Earth, that there must be a mechanism which can lift these particles from Earth to the stratosphere. However, we've provided evidence that the DNA containing masses, plus other strange organisms we've isolated are not associated with pollen, grass and fungal spores in our sampler. If our organisms come from Earth, they must be contaminated with common Earth organisms, and they're not. We will probably not be believed until NASA reports our findings. I suspect that NASA will then try to take credit by claiming that their methods were somehow more sterile or precise." Dr. Wainwright, who specializes in microbiology, then revealed an image of these structures, saying that once in the lab they started to spew out a gooey substance. The doctor then theorized that this discovery could be an example of panspermia, which is the idea that Earth was seeded by an advanced civilization. He theorized that the strange metal sphere that released the gooey substance was actually the ingredients for life, and that inside could have been a colony of tiny microorganisms. He continued with the following. The sphere made an impact crater on the sampling stub. This proves beyond doubt that the particle was travelling at speed from space when it was sampled. Using X-ray analysis to examine the strange object, the doctor discovered that the round sphere was actually made from titanium. The team also described that it had a fungus-like knitted mat-like covering. Wainwright published his findings in the Journal of Cosmology, but those who checked back in order to see what was made of this study revealed that the article had been removed. As we move forward, people are starting to look to the stars for answers. There's many that believe our history lies within the cosmos, and that something may have created life on Earth. This theory is disputed by scientists and researchers, who say we have a good understanding of human history. However, others have said that we should be open-minded when it comes to science and our history, and that in order for us to move forward as one, we should listen to these ideas and theories, and carry out further tests, especially when scientists like this have physical evidence. This isn't just a theory. The scientist and his team were able to gather the necessary data in order to put forward this theory, meaning that other scientists should follow this up with further studies, in order to get to the bottom of what they discovered. As some researchers have said, it's important that these findings are shared with the scientific world, and that our world's best minds can get to the bottom of what these things are. Asking questions is how we learn and move forward, and perhaps could ultimately answer some of the biggest questions. Will we ever understand the nature of consciousness? Does humanity have a future beyond Earth? And are life forms currently trying to make contact? Google Moon allows anyone to explore the lunar surface. There's various images that you'll be able to see, some of which were taken during the famous moon landings. Google Moon has already mapped out areas like the famous Apollo landings, along with various other sites across the lunar surface. Someone that was exploring the lunar terrain though has discovered something unexpected. They said that they often look through Google Moon, but on this occasion found various structures, stating that they range from what appear to be large blocks to elongated structures. Not much information can be found about the images taken, but the person who shared these images said this isn't the first time that strange things have been discovered on the moon, going on to say that people in groups that share these types of discoveries are always finding strange things on the lunar surface. One person said the following about the photograph. "I don't think these are craters, as you can see craters right next to this thing. In terms of how big it is, I'd say it's very big when compared to things around it." End quote. Other people who saw the photograph began to speculate whether this was something like water, noting that scientists have come forward in recent years and said that the moon holds water. Our moon has a rather bizarre phenomenon we're still trying to puzzle our way through. There's lunar water on the moon, despite us not being able to observe a water cycle similar to ours on Earth. A recent study has reported clear evidence that there's water molecules on the surface of or held within the grains of the lunar soil. If we can research what kinds of water are available here, and precisely what that water is, then we may be able to fathom out the seemingly magical water cycle of the moon. Another study with groundbreaking revelations found small areas of the moon that are within a permanent shadow. This creates a cold enough environment for ice to form, with researchers saying that the space of these areas covers 15,400 square miles. Currently, guesses indicate that the water cycle on the moon is carried through hydrogen in solar wind, and that's reacting with the oxygen on the surface. This is a stark contrast to our rain, rivers and seawater cycle here on Earth. Other suggestions have guessed that the lunar water travels, migrating to remain in a shadowed zone, as opposed to one with the sun. Exactly how this happens still requires plenty of further research. Jessica Sunshine, a University of Maryland planetary scientist, says that these new findings suggest a much more complex process than we thought before. The practical application once we figure this out would be remarkable. This research has useful implications as to how humans may be able to travel, not only to the moon but also further beyond. The next NASA mission, Artemis, aims to place the first woman and next man on the moon. If we can understand the moon's water cycle before then we may be able to convert the water into a resource for energy. One trial for the lunar water to withstand is the harsh climate of the moon, with a high of 121 degrees Celsius and a more than chilly low minus of 133 degrees Celsius. It wouldn't be improbable for the water to evaporate, especially without a thick atmosphere. But luckily for us, even in the sun there are still traces of water, though these are faint. Based upon current observations, there appears to be 12 ounces of lunar water to 1 cubic meter, meaning the water, whilst existent, is very sparse. This is 100 times drier than the Sahara Desert. While there is water present on the moon, we need to conduct more observations, more analysis and more research before we can take action with this discovery. Once we know a little more about this intricate process, we may need to implement some man-made intervention for this water to be used, due to its limited supply. This research is being referred to by some as the slow revolution. While new progress is being made, and we're slowly beginning to make a clearer picture, the tedious process could still take decades of more research. Researchers completing this project report that despite having a difficult job, the work is rewarding, and know that the findings will be worthwhile. It's not just water that's on the moon. Amateur researchers who have spent large amounts of time looking through old moon photographs have said they've discovered something strange. Right now though, there's a group of people asking Elon Musk to go to the moon, and saying they want him to investigate a mysterious anomaly, saying that whatever this thing is, it needs to be investigated as it looks like a giant ship, comparing it to a Muamua, and even an advanced ship. Some of those who have seen the photograph have said it's real, and that this could be proof that something else has visited the moon. Interestingly, just recently scientists have said that life may have made its way to our moon, and this was after a meteorite made contact with the lunar surface. 2 senior planetary researchers said the moon actually has the correct conditions to support simple life forms, saying that these could have been present on the moon 4 billion years ago. Other amateur researchers have said it's entirely possible that something could have made contact with our moon, and that it may have been left behind, going on to say that this isn't the first time that something odd has been found here. NASA scientists though have said that this photograph doesn't show anything of interest, and that they've never found any evidence of life on the moon, further saying that the most likely explanation for these photographs is that they're just camera anomalies. So what do you make of these interesting discoveries? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.